Am I having space or not? Okay. So we can look at here how the devices got increased iPhone points in pixel dimensions. 4 and 4s is 3.5, and 5 is 4, and 6 is 4.7, and 6 plus is 5.5 inches. So we can see in zoom mode and like a normal mode. iPhone 6 in zoom mode is 320 by 568. In normal mode, it's 375 by 667. So similarly, 6 plus in zoom mode is similar to your iPhone 6. If it is normal mode, it comes to 414 into 736 points. Because whenever you define any graphical elements, we follow these points instead of pixel. If you would like to present some graphical object, like for example, you want to render an image view. So the images which you taken from your graphical designers, we use in terms of pixel. We ask in terms of pixels, but we represent in terms of points. So we say like if it is 1x, then you will ask 3x, because all, for example, if it is a 10 by 10 or 20 by 20 image, we'll ask like 3x and 2x and 1x. If the 1x is 3x, 1x is 10 pixel, then 3x will be 30 pixel. It's like you have to in 4 and 5s it's doubled, and later 6 and 6 plus it's became a triple. So that's where you needs to grab the images from the designers. So it's based on the targeted device, you have to capture it. So in the best way to have images with 1x 2x and 3x in your assets folder, so that it's based on the device will pick the image. So which image is suitable for the specific device, so your OS will pick that. So this is the basic related to pixel and points. The no one will ask you what's the exact points we have currently, but if someone asks, then you should be ready for it. So what's the various changes you can remember, like you can keep in mind what is the inches of device that we can keep it. So if they ask you some points, you can say like what is the points in points, the size in points. So this is the basic. When coming to iPhone, we consider the origin will start from your left side. The left top is your origin. It starts from 0 0. If this is the view, we can say this position will be 0 0. This is 0 0. It's a left corner and left top corner. The right bottom corner will be your last element. This is 375 by 667 if it is in zoom mode. In normal, this last point will be your 414 by 736. So this is like your 0 0, and this is your 414 and 0, and this is 0 with 736. This is 414 by 736. So you can, if you look at this coordinate system, the coordinate system will start in reverse order. It's like left top will be your origin. When you write something, your 2D coordinate system on your paper, so that will be starts from your left bottom, but when coming to the device specific size, then it starts from your left top is 0 0. This is your 0 0 position. So for every application, let's we'll talk about what is application. So we have created many samples, and we use it to execute and run and displaying the text information in console as of now. So all the testing we did within console, but right now we'll focus in how the user interface we can present the graphical elements on user interface. So the user interface is coming to your application level. So UI, now this entire graphical user interface can be developed with UI kit. There is a framework. So Objective C, we have seen the framework which we covered in Objective C, that is a foundation kit. So that is a foundation framework, NS foundation framework. So all the classes are started with the NS as a prefix. So this is our framework, is like a UI application. So I will tell you, so what is the basic iOS architecture, so that we will have some idea, so, how these different frameworks are designed for. So iOS framework, if you consider, So our architecture is something like this. So if you can see, your iOS architecture starts from the Cocoa Touch. So this is a four-layered architecture. It's a iOS. The top layer is Cocoa Touch layer. So when the requirement comes, so they specify the one should have an experience in Cocoa Touch. And the second layer is MIDI layer. So this touch layer is responsible. It has some certain API classes. So all the classes are responsible to recognize the events by the user, and all the APIs are responsible for to recognize the events from the user, and as well as represent the graphical elements on the user interface. So these kind of all APIs are inbuilt with Cocoa Touch. So our UI kit framework is belongs to the Cocoa Touch layer. So the Cocoa Touch layer is having a frameworks which are responsible to design a graphical user interface, that we can keep in mind. So why we use Cocoa Touch framework? So this Cocoa Touch layer is having certain frameworks which used for GUI development. So the MIDI layer is the second layer. So MIDI layer, the term itself we can identify. So these are all related to media information, something which is related to audio files or video files or audio recording or video recording, audio playing or video playing, MP3 or MP4 or .mov. This kind of video recording or audio recording or video playing or audio playing. So movie players, there are certain API classes which belongs to this MIDI layer. There are certain frameworks. For example, is the AV Foundation is one of the framework, and MP movie player is like one kind of framework. So these are certain frameworks which are there in this MIDI layer. So those frameworks are responsible to represent your audio or video related information. Either it can be presentation or it can be a recording. So third layer is core services layer. So this core services layer we have seen NS Foundation. So NS Foundation is API. There are certain API classes are relevant to your core services layer. So the services which collects the information, which do the business data processing. So these such related APIs belongs to core services. We covered these certain APIs NS Foundation framework of core services in earlier. So and last one is like core OS. So the core OS layer which is responsible related to your security. So how you can save some information in as a more secure, and how can you detect your socket level communication, how can you do a socket level communication. So means the API classes which interact with your OS like kernel directly, so those classes will be there in your core OS API. So core OS layer. So the classes which on top of the kernel will comes into the core services, means which can interact with your view level information, and which can hold something as an object format, and as well as that can be processed, and that can be processed by your core OS. But your core OS is having certain frameworks which allows to provide the security, or which will be used to make some socket communication, or which can works with the Bluetooth, or which can works with some external data transfer from device to device, either Bluetooth transfer or AirPlay transfer. So these kind of these are the certain examples. So these kind of actions can be done with core OS layer. So this layer is having such kind of frameworks. So this is a basic four layer architecture defined for iOS. Now today we'll talk about Cocoa Touch layer, which having a UI kit framework. So we'll explain the UI kit framework, because the touch layer is having a various frameworks. Not only UI kit, there is a core graphics, and there is a Quartz core framework, and there is a core location framework. It's related to maps, and there are various frameworks which we can discuss in Cocoa Touch. We'll start with UI kit, which designs the user interface. So before that, we'll see an application life cycle. So what is an application? So application, if you talk about any application, so when you create one template, the template will create an application. So the UI application is one of the class which create an application instance. So if you observe, if you can remember, when we execute any of the application, the first file is execute with main method. So the main method, we have written some certain objects creation, and we executed certain methods and blocks and webs, different actions from the main method earlier. So we did on top of your application main method. If we open something, if you open some project, our sample notification demo, let's look into this. So we had written certain methods in main method, and we had written on top of your application main method. So whenever you run an application, you can run an application, Xcode application, in two ways. Either you can execute an Xcode application from a terminal, or you can execute you can run an Xcode application directly with Xcode. There are the two approaches you can do anyway. If you run the application by Xcode, you can run it directly, then it will come from your main method. If you want to run one Xcode application from your terminal by giving some arguments, command line arguments, so those command line arguments will be received by the main method at here, and we can do something. So this is related to before your application instance get generated, all this information will be processed. So this method, your application main method, is responsible to start your application. So this is your main method for your entire user interface development app. So as I said earlier, so this have four arguments. This method is having four arguments. The argument 1 is related to the number of arguments which is sent or which is passed from the terminal as a command line argument. This is as like our C language, argv contains all it. It is like a collection of pointer. It's a character pointer which refers to the values which is passed to by the command line. So, and this is your class which you would like to execute as an application. So if you go into that, you can see that principal class name and like a normal class name, delegate class name. So this is principal class name is nothing but your application main related class, and this is your delegate class which gives the control of an application. This is the class which creates a application instance. This is either you can pass a principal class name, or else you can pass a delegate class name. So delegate class name gives a control based on your application behavior. So let's see. So I specified, I make the nil with the application subclass. There is no subclass which I created for the application. But I created one class that is with application delegate. So the delegation, I said, it's a protocol which works or which gives a control for different events. So that's where the delegation protocol works. So here, if you observe, the app delegate is my one of the application delegate subclass. So if you look at the way of designing of an app delegate class, I created an app delegate class as a subclass for UI responder. I will tell you that what is this UI responder, and it's having a protocol, inherited a protocol, UI application delegate. Since this class is inherited UI application delegate, then we call this as like a application delegate class. So I passed this class as a delegate to this application main method. So the main method, whatever your app events is processed, so all the events will be addressed and can be observed with this app delegate class. So if you look at in app delegate.h, we have not defined any of the methods, but we implemented many methods in .m file. So as per our rule in Objective-C, if we implement a number of methods in a .m file, even if it is not declared in .h file, it means either the methods are derived from the superclass of the class. So this app delegate is having two super, one UI responder as a superclass and UI application delegate protocol as a super. So these this can take a methods from the UI responder and it can override a methods from UI application delegate. So UI application delegate, since it is a protocol, so whatever the methods are required methods are defined in UI application delegate, that needs to be overridden, that must be overridden. If there is no required method, if the protocol is having optional methods, then this class is optional to override those methods. Is if you look at UI application delegate protocol, how it is defined. So this UI application delegate protocol is having certain optional methods. So this is optional. If you look at, there are the certain methods like application did finish launching, will finish launching with options, and there are some a number of methods. These all the methods are predefined, which gives the control when some event happened related to the application level. We learn about these methods when we have a different functionalities needs to be taken place. So all the method is having a one specific recognition when such an event comes. So these are all optional methods because all the methods are up to this protocol. All the methods you can see, we started from @ protocol and we ends with @ end. So between these methods are under, if you look at, optional. So optional methods, if there is a class which inherits this protocol, these optional methods are optional. Either the class can override or it may not. It's not mandatory. So this is a extension. If you can observe here, this is an extension for UI application. So these are all extension properties and methods. These are extension properties and methods of UI application. So this we will see later, but our target is UI application delegate is having certain methods, but all methods in UI application delegate, this can be one of your interview question. So the application delegate methods are optional or required. So if we look at this .h file, we can remember all application delegate methods are optional methods. Let's we'll see how the app delegate is implemented, those methods. So app delegate is inherited. We have seen what are the methods are available in application delegate, and let's see what is the methods are available in UI responder superclass. So this UI responder is a subclass from NS object because we know NS object is superclass for all. It is having certain methods. If you see, all the responder related methods are defined in UI responder. So before going to this, up to here is my your UI responder methods. Touch begin or motion begin and can perform target for action. These are the methods are defined in UI responder. Means those methods are public, like can be accessed by its subclasses, and UI responder is having its extensions as well. So if you look at extension UI responder key commands, there are some certain extensions, and there is UI responder input view additions. These are all certain extensions. So this is like a UI responder.h file. You can identify how the UI responder is defined. Once you look into this class, you will have an idea what are the methods are available in it, and UI responder is written for what kind of events the UI responder can be used for, in which events we can utilize this UI responder. Let's see. So my app delegate is a class. So I overridden certain methods related to did finish launching with options. This is method which I overridden from app delegate protocol, and application will design. So this is also I implemented from app delegate. This is also from app delegate. All these methods which I implemented in this class is taken from UI application delegate. So the major objective for defining UI application delegate protocol is to identify and is to notify the events related to the application. Let's see what are the events, what kind of events an iOS app can have. Let's see that what are the events one application will have. So states of your application, the states are nothing but an events. So there is a launch state, an active state, inactive state, the background state, and foreground state. There are 5 states that each application follows. And the launch state, when the user is downloaded the application from a store, or if the user is launching the application at first time, that we call as like a launch state. So this launch state means if I run this application, then that is my launch state starts from your main method. So once you get a control to main, it means you are running this application as an initial at first time. So this is your launch state of the app. Application is launching. So whenever it is launched successfully, we will get a control from did finish launching with options. If you override this method will be triggered if your application is launched successfully. Means if your instance is created, then this method will be fired. If your instance is created without failure, then this method will be fired. So if you override this method, then you can identify, okay, the application launch is succeeded. So you can do whatever you want when your application is launched, when your application launch is finished. Once your application launch is finished, if you want to do some more activities, then you can define all such kind of functionalities or classes or interaction. You can start from did finish launching, because these methods we are not triggering anywhere in this application. These methods are derived from the UI application delegate is a predefined protocol. So these protocol methods are predefined. These methods are defined to identify the events related to the application life cycle. So why we call it as life cycle? Because if you remember your thread life cycle, so there is an approach from the begin to end. Similarly, if you analyze an application life cycle from the beginning of the app to terminating of the application, so what are the steps it can have? So those all kinds of events together we call as application life cycle. So the launch state, if the application is launched at first time or it is executed at first time, then we'll call that state as like a launch state. So active state. So in launch state, how we can identify whether the application is in launch state or not? So if you run an application at first time, so this method will be fired, and after that this method will be fired. So if your application is giving a control to did finish launching with options followed by did become active, then you can say your application is launched at first time, means this is your launch state of the app. And there is active state. So active state, if did become active is fired, then we can say once the launch was done successfully, if the launch done, then we can say your app is in active state, because once the did finish launching is executed, then it comes to did become active. If this method is executed in proper way, then we can say your application is in active state. So active state in the sense, your app can recognize the events by the user. If the user touches or swaps or any gesture event, if the user is applied any gesture, the gesture will be recognized by your application. Once your app is finished did become active method. And inactive state. Inactive state in the sense, your application cannot recognize any of user gestures. So that's where we call this as a inactive state of the application. So inactive state you can identify if your application is fired with did resign active. If this method is executed, then we can say after this, when this method is executing, then we can say our application is in inactive state, because the resign active means we are saying that we are removing the user interaction for your all graphical elements. So if the user interaction is removed, then we can say all the elements are inactive, because it cannot receive, it cannot it lose the recognize power to recognize the user events. So the state will be in an active state. We call that state as like an active state. So there is another option is called background state. Background state means once the user is open the application and he is doing something, he minimizes the application. So when the user is minimizes the application will be moved, it will be minimized. The state, we call that state as like a background state, because your application still execute in the background, but it is minimized, but it will be in your stack. So it is still there in memory, it is there in your memory. So we call this state is a background state of the iOS app. And the another state is foreground state. For example, you minimize the application, so if you tap it again, then the app will open, it will become active again. So if the application is maximized from the minimize, then we call that state as like a foreground state. So if you initially launch, then that is launch state. Once if the application is in background state, if you open again, then we'll call that state as like a foreground state. So how can we identify the application is in foreground state or launch state? So there are certain methods are unique related to the state. If you identify whether those methods are executed or not, based on that we can tell the application is in this state, either launch or background or foreground or active, inactive. So at launch state, application will fire two methods: did finish launching with options, and if the active state will fire did become active. So if your application is executed did finish launching followed by did become active, then your app is in active state. If your application following did resign active to did enter background, then your application is in background state. If the application is followed with did enter foreground to did become active, then your application is in foreground state. And there is another state called inactive state. If there is an application after active and before background, means after resign active to before background, we'll call as inactive state. So there, even if the user is given any event, it cannot recognize. And there is another state called application termination. So if your application is out of heap, or if your application is having some logical runtime issues, then your app will get terminated. That state will call it like a application terminate. So for that we have one method, did terminate. So this method will be fired based on your application status. So we won't call these methods will be fired from your OS. so did receive memory. So when your application is running out of memory or it's crossing your heap, then we will get a memory warnings. This method will be fired. So these all the methods will be monitored in background by OS related to your application process. Let's see something with your diagrammatic representation, how it starts. Let's say the user tapped the app, so it start. After start of the application, there is a possibility to get terminated due to some battery low or due to some exception or due to some any random error. So that can be any condition that can move your start state to end state. So if it starts, so there is no error, then it comes to did finish launch. If this method is executed successfully, then it will fire your did become active. So you no need to call. If one method succeed, then it will move for the second method automatically. So your virtual machine will take care of callbacking from one method to another method. In this is the way of execution. It follows this life cycle because we call these methods are in life cycle. So it follows one by one based on the conditions. If there is any error at any of these method, then it might go for your end state, or you can keep the application of after launch. You can keep the application in sleep mode if you required. That is also you can do that. So once it's done, if the user is tapped something, so this is your active state, we are at active state. The user has did some event, or while the user is using the application, they might receive one system event, like you might receive one call from another mobile. So then you will attempt it, your current running application will go for background state. So then you will lose your active state. So then in such scenarios, if some events by the user or by the system, then your app will lose your active state first, then it will go for resign active, later it calls your did enter background. So these two methods will be fired if some event happened after did become active state. Then we call these two methods process is background state. If the application is called resign active followed by the background, then your app are in a background state. Your app is in background state. So if the application is in the background state, let's say I said yesterday, with the help of NSURL session, we can download some information in the background. Whenever the download was done or finished, your application automatically launched from the background to foreground. So if that is the case, and the app will execute enter foreground method and followed by did become active. If your
Suresh,
application, yeah,
I have one question.
yes.
Means how can app enter in the foreground automatically from the background?
So like for example, background, you minimize the application, again you maximize, then it comes. Or else,
Which
for example, while you are playing your application, you might receive some a phone call or something like that. So your current running application will go for background. So
okay,
if you tap it on again, so then it will come for foreground because you are already in background state, not on launching state, right?
okay, okay,
So then we call it as a foreground. Otherwise, for example, your application, you are doing some data download in background. You minimize the app, you are doing something in background. So once your background is done, download was done, then your application is automatically pulled to foreground. So the foreground in the sense, if you send an application to background, if it opens again, then we'll call that state as a foreground because launching will be at first time. So if you switch minimize and maximize, so that state will call it like a foreground
foreground.
because you are
But
coming from background.
yeah, but as you are saying, means I have means the application is downloading some data in the
Yeah.
background,
Yes.
and after completing that, it will come. automatically in the foreground.
No, no. See,
Mm,
the download in the background, there are two possibilities here. So parallel to foreground, for example, you're still playing the application, you started a thread, it's run parallel. So anyhow, the user won't do anything, user won't interact with threads. So that is the one case. But the second is NS URL session. I said yesterday, the
yeah,
background download. There is one method you can create it.
yeah.
NS URL session configuration can be created with background session with identifier. So in such cases, you minimize your application. So if you minimize your application, that thread will run in background at suspend state. Normal background is different from the application which is there in the minimize mode. So background means you assume the application is in minimized state. So you minimize the app. So if it maximize again, then we'll call that as a foreground.
Okay, so it will not come automatically in the foreground unless user open it.
Yeah, unless user open, that is the one case. The second is if you do something in background download by using NSURL session configuration with background identifier, your
Yeah.
application is automatically pushed back. Like for example, it will come again, it will open again.
Okay, actually, I never experienced this type of.
Okay, if you do some background job in background, so with NSURL session configuration, so this is a like a latest feature which Apple is given. So you will your application will be opened automatically. So it will fire the method, foreground method, because it
Oh,
will it will update your automatic open. Because I yesterday I explained with screenshots. So if something is running in the background, how it relaunch your app with NSURL session with background identifier.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
that's what because I never experienced this in the
okay.
iPhone.
Yeah,
That's
just
why.
just do one service download in background. Just minimize the application and use that background session. So we will identify that. We can observe it. It's like
Okay.
basic in web applications. Most of the time, see for example, you use some Toronto. So you're doing
Yeah,
the
it
download.
it
So
open.
you minimize it. Once the download is done, then it will be giving you update. So download is done. It will be open.
Okay.
So it's like a feature which Apple is given. So where it will pushes again. Even if you tap it application from the minimize, it comes to maximize. So that event is the linked with system event. It's a basic system event or UI event. Earlier, it's a UI event. Like if the user is tapped again, then it fires that method. But right
Yeah.
now they made it like a processed with background session. So once that is integrated, if the some event is done, then it will fire the same method. It will bring back the application to foreground.
Okay.
So
I will.
yeah, just try once. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, fine. So this is the basic. The termination comes like, for example, if your application is running out of heap memory, or if there is some any logical error, then app will get terminated. So whenever your app is get terminated on termination, it's moved to end state, but you will get a control at application will terminate. So this will give you the control. So it will be fired. This method will be fired. So let's see. So how this works? Run the application. Can we see these methods or not? As we discussed, will it seriously works or not? Now attaching the application. Okay, something is executed in background because we process these things before application main. So I'm calling the application main. Now your app is started. Oh yeah, it is finished. Means application object is instantiated successfully. Now we override. Since I override this method, it's given a control. This is first time which I'm running, so I got the control to did finish launching. Yes, did finish launching method is succeeded. Now it is moved automatically to did become active, because as I said, these methods are life cycle methods. So you no need to call, the system will fire automatically once one state is finished. So did become active. So why? Then let's see. There is something which I have done. Okay, launch, it's launched and become active. Now my application is in launch state. You can find two methods, did finish launching and did become active. Now I want to minimize this app to background. Go to hardware and make it home. Now I am sending my application to background. If you see, your resign active method is fired. So it is indicating that you are losing your active state. Yes, you lost. Once your active state lost, then it fires your did background method. So if your application is executing these two, will design active and did enter background, you can say now this method is executed. So you can keep one string in your application related to your state of the app. So you can update that string to background because application did enter background method is fired. And if you look at the application is in background now. Let me open it. Now it is fired with enter foreground method. Since we have overridden these methods, so we are getting the control. Then it's calling become active. But there is no did application did finish launch method once you reopen from background to foreground, because the did finish launch fired at only once whenever you start the application at first time. So if you send one application to background, if you open it again, its call is like a foreground state. So this is like your application delegate methods will be fired. If you implement those methods, if you keep the breakpoints, you can interact with your application states. You can see what are the possible events from your application delegate methods. Like either you can switch from one app to another app. So there are certain app delegate methods will give you the control. Like how, if you override these methods like did finish launching, did become active, we can identify which state of the app it is. But if you use some other methods, I have just we went to .h file of app delegate. Just we have seen that your application delegate .h. So there are more number of methods. So we overridden 4 to 5 methods to identify the application status state. So instead of that, there are n number of methods related to notifications, local notifications, or remote notifications. If your application is received a notification remotely by the server, then we can identify with certain methods. And sometimes the user click on a link from your application, the link will be opened with Safari or any other application. It's like switching from one app to another app. So for you can identify that switch also with there are one two methods there in your application delegate. If you override those methods, we can identify that switch. So if that method is fired, we can say okay, your application is in switching from current state. Like from current app, your OS is moving from this app to another app, and it's like there are certain things. So application level we override. There are other methods. So this is related to your application life cycle. Just this is your application life cycle. So we'll discuss tomorrow uh, the UI elements. We'll start from storyboard or XIB or Windows. These classes will start from tomorrow, because today I'm stopping with application life cycle. Just now observe your app, what we have done in main method, and how it is executing this application just by keeping some NS logs or by placing some method objects. Right now we executed all the session, like all of our objective C based coding we tested from main method. So instead of that, you can test now with app delegate methods. If something goes background, I want to call one method. If something goes foreground, I want to call some method. Or else take some global variables in any of your NS object class, subclass, and keep changing the values, string values, on which state you are. Just try such kind of samples, so it will give you some confidence on how your app is switching and you can identify. Because since when you start your application development, so there will be certain conditions you have to save some information before application enters to background, or else you have to use some events needs to be enabled when it comes to foreground. It will comes to practice, so which method I needs to override, it will come hands on if you practice one or two samples related to changing some values when the app switches. So that can give you the better practice with these methods. So you can use not only app delegate, you can create your any application, because since the application which overrides the UI responder, the class itself can handle UI events. That is the major usage of inheriting a UI responder, because if any class is a subclass of a UI responder, that class can recognize the user events or any events related to the system events as well, so it can recognize. So because of that reason, we used the one class which is subclass of UI responder. So we are passing that class as a delegate class, because the last argument of your UI application main is related to subclass of UI application delegate. So I passed this app delegate because the app delegate class I defined as a subclass of UI application delegate. And this, if you want to add any application UI application subclass, you can keep it, you can pass that element. So whenever this method is fired, you will get a control of your application. So I don't want to, I have not created any UI application subclass, so I have not passed any argument here. Just try running your sample apps and try to observe it and create one sample with one NS object subclass with an NS string property where you can save the state of the application. So you will get a more idea on which state your application is.